All right, guys, welcome back to the Agent Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Caffarella. I've got a very special guest on today. Want to welcome Jordan Moorhead to the podcast. How's it going, Jordan?
Good. How are you doing, Tom?
Good. Busy day today for you, right?
Yeah, always busy day, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I got some of your, show notes kind of ahead of time and wanted to kind of jump into it. Just so that in terms of the show, we focus on people that have a real estate background, typically real estate agents, and we talk about adding, real estate investing to your arsenal. And I know you've done some real estate investing and you're a real estate agent. So
Mhm.
why don't you kind of give us the high level of how you got into real estate, what you've done on the agent side, what you've done on the investment side, and all that good stuff.
So, might be a little different than a lot of people. I started investing first, and then I got a real estate agent's license. So, I started investing in 2016, bought a duplex, started living in half. That next year, 2017, bought a sixplex. Was able to save up so much money from doing the house hacking strategy there and living in half of the duplex that I was able to go buy another property almost pretty quickly within 6 months. So bought a sixplex, year two of investing. In September of 2017, I got my license. So duplex, sixplex, then got a license. Started working with people that wanted to do what I was doing with that duplex and live in half of a duplex or live in a room of a house and rent out the other rooms. My first year, I did 24 transactions.
Mhm.
So my first full year, 2017, I didn't sell anything. Got my license in September, October, November, December. January of the following year, I didn't sell anything. In February, sold my first property. In the subsequent 10 months, I sold 23 more properties as an agent. Also, was continuing to save money to invest. I still had another business going too. So when I started investing, I owned a fitness business with two trainers and one admin and me. So there was four of us in the company. That helped me get started investing. Then when I started working as an agent, I started working as an agent full time, but I wasn't in my other business full time. I was just going maybe a couple days a week to check on it, make sure everything was going well. Of course, talking with my admin, talking with my coaches on a daily basis to handle any issues they had,
Mhm.
but didn't really have to be there all day every day. So was immediately able to start as an agent full time. So 24 my first year, did 40 my second year, and it just kind of gone from there.
That's awesome. So you had a successful training business. What
Yep.
was kind of the impetus to say, hey, I want to start getting into real estate?
Couple different things. So my father's been a real estate agent for about 15 years, and he's always liked it. He's not ever made it into a business, but he just likes being the solo agent and still does really well at 68. Um, of course, I was interested in investing in real estate. And as I started to get more interested in investing and started investing, I said, well, hey, I'm not able to find a lot of great agents that are doing what I want to do or really to invest. I talk to so many agents that want to invest or they're curious about investing, but they don't. Um, and I think that's really a shame. So I really like what you're doing here. Um, and I saw the ceiling with the fitness business. So I had two trainers, I had an admin. We had 62 clients paying us an average of $300 a month.
Mhm.
So we were making good money. I was able to pay them a reasonable salary. I was able to take a reasonable salary, making good profit off the business. But I saw this definite ceiling, and I was going to be able to inch that up over time. I really wasn't interested in that. I wanted a business that I could exponentially grow, and real estate worked for that. After the first year, I said, "Man, this is great. I can make a lot more money doing this." So I sold the fitness business about a year after my first year in real estate, and just went 100% all real estate.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that's a big thing for a lot of agents, and even myself. I had a CPA practice. I was an accountant before I went all in on real estate, and it was one of those things. Kind of sounds pretty similar, where like you were making decent money. I was making decent money. I didn't really want to give it up. I said, okay, real estate's going to be, I love real estate, but I'm not going to do it full time. And then one day, kind of just my partner really pushed me to say, "Hey, let's go all in on real estate because we're making more money in real estate and we like it a lot more." So
Yep.
it sounds like you have kind of a similar story there. So with your first property, you house hacked it. So did you live in it or were you renting out rooms? How did that go?
So I went real far down the scale and the being uncomfortable with the first one. We had a duplex. We had tenants upstairs, we being me. I had tenants upstairs. I lived downstairs. I occupied one of the rooms when I was in town, rented another room to a roommate, and then rented out the back porch
Mhm.
to an Airbnb, very low cost, $10 to $15 a night, usually grad students, people in town doing some sort of contract work, just somebody looking for somewhere cheap to stay.
Yep.
Um, and really did everything I could to make as much money as I could off of this duplex. So I made about $500 a month to live there while I was living there.
Yep.
Um,
And that was in
and
what you said, 2016?
2016, yeah, I bought it for 182,000.
Yeah. And that what part of Texas was that?
That was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, actually.
Okay, you're in Texas now though, right?
I'm in Austin, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you were in Minneapolis, you bought it, you said for under two, you were making $500 a month to live there. And what would you say, like, in terms of just the sacrifice of doing that? Like, was it a big sacrifice for you or just something that was like, okay, hey, I gotta get started here?
Uh, it really wasn't too big of a sacrifice. So I was 27.
Mhm.
I've always been frugal, so I had lived with roommates up until a couple of years before that. And then I had moved into an apartment. After that, I moved into a nice apartment where I paid $1,200 a month. Didn't like paying the $1,200 a month, and actually moved down to Austin early 2016 when I moved back up to Minneapolis and got my fitness business going strong again. I said, "Hey, um, I want to do this real estate thing." So I started living with roommates when I was back there, and then just transitioned into somewhere that I owned. It wasn't that hard. Yeah, at 27, I was able to live with multiple other people and random people.
Yeah.
Anymore, we still house hack here in Austin. This is my second house hack in Austin. We're about to move into one for my girlfriend here in a few months,
Yep.
but we just live in one unit now.
Okay.
And it's not really any sacrifice. I'm looking at our backyard right now. We've got a big backyard that circles around the back of the duplex. Nice privacy fence, nice finishes in the duplex. Everything's new, everything's nice. Really not a sacrifice at all. It's like living in a townhome.
Yeah. So it sounds like the one in Minneapolis was probably a little bit more uncomfortable. So you did that and then you moved to, what was the impetus to move to Austin?
I just don't like the cold.
Yeah. Were you just selecting a market that was it partly due to the real estate or just like you were trying to find a place that you would enjoy living in?
More just a place I would enjoy living in. I know I'm going to make money anywhere I go. I've never had a trouble making a living. Um, yeah, it was attractive that everything's just going crazy in Austin and has been for the last 2 decades, but it wasn't part of my decision making process. Of course, I was looking for somewhere that was warm, somewhere that was growing, and somewhere that had a lot of opportunity. And Austin hit all those.
Yeah, it's interesting because the last year with all of the COVID stuff that's been going on, the demographic shifts are kind of interesting to study.
Yep.
And it's like I'm in a kind of a climate like you were in Minneapolis. I'm in the Boston area,
Mhm.
and for a lot of different reasons, people are definitely moving south overall.
Yep.
So it's just interesting to see those trends. But you didn't go from the two family to a two family. You said you bought a sixplex in between, right?
So bought a duplex, bought a sixplex, moved out of the duplex, after a little bit of time, I sold that duplex and bought two more sixplexes. Now, in 2018, I bought a two family in Austin. In 2020, I bought another two family in Austin. At the end of 2020, we bought 9 houses, a partner and I,
Yep.
in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm from Louisville. I grew up there. He still lives there, so we buy houses in Louisville.
Mhm.
I buy multifamily there too, but have not been hitting that too hard as of recent because the partnership thing's been going so well.
Awesome. So one of the things that people, always wonder when they see somebody like you coming out of the gate, buying a lot of properties, how are you financing all of these? Like what strategies are you using to get under these properties and continue to purchase?
Um, I wish there was a magic bullet to that, but I think I've been living very frugally for a long time. I've been saving almost, 60, 70% of what I make. I've been consistently trying to push my income up. So, on good years, since I was 23, 24, I've made over 100 grand with my own businesses. I saved the majority of that money and I've invested the majority of that money. So, um, I don't know what other answers you get on this show here, but really it's just been working hard, saving more than I make, or sorry, saving more than I spend and investing that over and over and over for a little more than a decade now.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think in terms of other answers, like that's the interesting thing about having different guests on. Everybody does it differently.
yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways that you can creatively finance things. We have people that raise capital themselves. We have people that do seller financing. We have people that are doing 1031s from one property to another.
Oh, yeah. And I've done a 1031. I've done some seller financing. We've of course done some burrs. So we've picked them up cash, refinanced them, gotten most of our money out. I've used my agent's commission to pay for the entire down payment of properties when I'm doing the house hacking strategy. So yeah, I've done some creative stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's all the type of stuff I think that be interesting to kind of dive into. So like going through all those different pieces. So using your commission for the house hacking, is that just you were doing like an FHA loan, like a low down payment loan, or did you somehow structure it where the commission was a little bit bigger? Like how did you do that?
A little bit both. So I was doing an FHA loan. It's actually this duplex we're in right now, 3.5% down. I got the seller to raise the commission to 3.5%. And then I got prorated rents and I got security deposits. Also used Keller Mortgage, which is our in-house mortgage company. They
Mhm.
covered half of the closing costs. The seller covered the other half. So when I closed on this property, I got a check for about 3 grand.
Right.
Um,
So more than 100% financing on an FHA.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's easy to do that. I have a friend who's also an agent buying a duplex right now. He just got them to knock up the commission another half a point. So he's getting 3.5% commission. He's paying 3.5% down. They had already covered his closing costs. Basically, he just got a free duplex.
Yeah, exactly. So like on the one that you're in now, so you basically got in that not even for no money down, you got paid to buy the property. And
Yeah.
then with the house hack, like what is it costing you all in to live there now?
So on that note too, I also spent 65,000 rehabbing this property.
Yep.
So it was no money down for the down payment. So
Yep.
day one, I put nothing down. Day seven, I gave a contractor $20,000 down to start the rehab.
Mhm.
Um, so there's not always a free lunch. This wouldn't have been a good deal if it was rehabbed and ready to go. Right now, it's costing me around $700 a month to live here. But, as we speak, I'm actually refinancing into a conventional loan because after the rehab, I was able to build so much equity in the property that I'll be able to refinance into conventional. I'll be able to drop the PMI. I've homesteaded the property, so the taxes dropped a little bit there. And I'm protesting the taxes because I actually bought it for less than the tax assessed value. In Texas, our property taxes are pretty high. So that's the only way they get tax money. So they don't have an income tax. I get taxed nothing from the state on any income I make, but they have to pay for the roads and the schools, so they have high property taxes. But they assess them higher than they think they can get a lot of times. You just need to go protest that tax. So I'm sending my Alta to the tax assessor and saying, hey, paid 40,000 less than you had it assessed for. So knock my taxes down. So I should be down around a mortgage payment of $2,200. The other side's rented for $1,800. So I should be about $400 after that's done. But
That's
we won't
awesome.
live here too much longer than that. Um, in a couple months, we'll be moving into her house hack.
Nice. So yeah, let's go through kind of the strategy. So you're going to be out of that one. So you're negative 400 right now to live there, which is obviously in 2021 a pretty low monthly payment for to live anywhere.
Mhm.
So you're going to take that. You're going to then house hack with your girlfriend.
Mhm.
This two family that you're sitting in right now becomes a rental, right?
Yep.
I'm
Oh yeah.
assuming, or are you going to sell that?
No, we're gonna keep it as a rental. The only reason I sold the last property was that it was just kind of a management nightmare. I have, well, right now I have 29 doors with a partner. This one, two unit was taking up most of my time, just dealing with little issues. And I said, I don't need to deal with this.
Mhm.
It's just a problem property.
So you hold on to the one that you're in now. You'll
Mhm.
go into what, another two family, or what type of property are you going to go into next, or are you hoping to identify next?
So for her, very unique property. It's a condo with a studio unit below the condo. I've never seen it in my entire life. There's a 3-bed, 2-bath upstairs, and then there's a studio unit downstairs. So we'll live in the upstairs unit. Our mortgage payment, our portion of the mortgage payment will be around $600 a month. Um, After we're done there, I will find another duplex, buy a duplex, and we'll move into that. So we're just going to keep going over and over for at least a few years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's like all of these, small little things, and then all of a sudden they add up, and
Yeah.
you probably already, like you had mentioned, you have some equity in the property that you're in. Maybe you can even at that point pull some money out for a down payment on something else, and
Yeah.
then just kind of continue that going.
And we're
So
always looking for other rentals too. So my partner and I, on almost a daily basis, are talking and we're looking for properties and we're talking to wholesalers and we're talking to property managers. Of course, we're looking at the MLS, but we're always buying houses and apartments too. So
yeah,
the house hacking is just because it's so cheap. Why not? Why not continue to buy properties for essentially nothing down
yep,
in great areas that appreciate like crazy and you can improve the value of?
yeah, I love it. So how does that all fit in? Because obviously you're doing a lot. You're renovating these houses, you're renting them out, you've got tenants, and then you're selling 40 plus properties, making good money doing that. So
Mhm.
how is the investing component related to the stuff you're doing on the agent side, and how do they work together?
They really don't, and that's on purpose. Um, I try to have as much of my focus on the agent side as I can. So we have a great property manager. Of course, my business partner is in town there. He can go meet with the property manager, deal with anything. Um, I just work on finding the properties, and that's part of my day every day, but I'm not spending a ton of time on it. And that's part of the reason why I don't only invest in Texas. It's just so I can make money here in Texas and I can invest and not have it take up all my day.
Mhm.
So how it ties into what I do on a daily basis is it purposely really doesn't. Because I want to make sure I'm spending all my time growing the team, looking for agents, helping clients, just pushing that business forward, and really having this other business be a separate entity over here that doesn't require input and feedback and work from our current business. Um, in the future, I may be starting a property management company here in Texas. So I've gotten my broker's license in Minnesota. I still have a broker's license here in Texas, almost done with my broker's license. I will find a partner for that business again, so it doesn't suck away from the sales business. So really, it's keeping this stuff out of the sales business, keeping the blinders on for the sales business, because our clients are the most important thing, and I don't need to spend time doing other things that don't do anything but help our clients.
So how are you obtaining most of your client business?
Um, Sphere's number one, mailers, cold calls, um, just being on all sorts. So I'm a heavy investor. I'm on a lot of investor sites and Facebook groups. So Bigger Pockets, all sorts of Facebook groups, just all over social media. We do a lot of social media advertising. I try to have a couple different lead sources that are strong, so we've got, of course, Sphere is the best always. If somebody refers you to somebody, that's the best lead you're going to get. But we have tons of other lead sources. No paid advertising through a Zillow or Realtor or any of that, but all, I guess you would call it green content. Just getting out there, putting out good content, and having people reach out to us.
And so obviously you've done a decent amount of investing yourself.
Mhm.
What's the client makeup between like investors and traditional like buyers and sellers? Like, are you working more with investors or what type of clients?
Heavily first time investors, so house hackers buying their first rental property, people like that. We do help home buyers, but I'd say home buyers are about 30% of our business. House hackers are probably 60%, investors are probably 10.
So how do house hackers or people that want to be house hackers know about you or get to you?
I'm on lots of podcasts like this. I'm all over Bigger Pockets. I'm all over in local investor Facebook groups. We put out a lot of social media content. I got a referral recently who reached out to me off Instagram, showed them 4 houses, and we found a great house for them here in East Austin, actually.
Yeah.
So all over the place.
So for the most part, you're kind of just selling what you're already doing in a way.
Yeah, and that's why I like it, and that's why it's easy, because I'm not trying to figure out how to do something and then selling that. I'm not a financial advisor that's not worth any money, trying to sell you a mutual fund. I do a lot of house hacking.
Yeah.
I've been house hacking since 2016. Since I met my girlfriend in 2018, we've lived in one of hers. We've lived in one of mine. We're in another one of mine now. We're going to move to another one of hers. I know everything about it. It's easy for me to sell that to somebody else.
And
I don't
so,
have to sell.
yeah, right. So I guess what's the biggest piece of advice you could give somebody who's an agent that wants to start house hacking, or just anybody who wants to start house hacking? Like, what are the things that you preach to your clients from the lessons that you've learned?
I would say the biggest thing that I would tell everybody that I see handicap a lot of other people is, get comfortable being uncomfortable. This little sacrifice for a few years is going to make such a difference in your future. So if you do house hacking 2 or 3 times, you've got over $1 million worth of property in almost every market. If you do it in Boston 2 or 3 times, you've got $2 million worth of property.
I know
Um,
that's the crazy part. Like, and a lot of people when they start out, they read a real estate investing book. It's like, well, I want to own 500 units, and maybe someday you get there, but you don't even need to do that to have a lot of success in it. Like you're mentioning, I mean, you could just take a few simple kind of steps and get there.
well,
Um,
and if you want to do that, start house hacking. If you want to buy a lot of rental properties, you need to save money. You need to have assets. You need to have great credit. House hacking, that's what's going to get you there. And that's not the only way. My business partner lives in a great house in Louisville, Kentucky. They paid down their house, and he's able to save a lot of money to invest. I don't think that there's one way or another, but if you don't have a lot of money right now and you want to be a big investor, start house hacking. You'll save a lot. You'll learn how to be frugal, and you'll start to build some assets.
so you're an agent and you're at a fairly big office, right?
950 agents in our office.
950 agents, man, that's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
so you see a lot of agents that sell a lot of homes. What do you think the reason that more agents don't invest in real estate is?
Uh, I think, I think a lot of people just get scared. I think they know how to sell a house and they know a lot of the systems of a house. They just get scared. I'm not going to name any names, but I've talked to a lot of people and, oh, you know what? I'm waiting for the right opportunity. I'm like, man, you've been talking to me about your waiting for 4 years. You just lost a few $100,000.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of, I think fear's a big driver for a lot of people's decisions. Whether or not they want to admit it, they're probably scared. I think not wanting to give up your current lifestyle. A lot of agents live a really nice lifestyle, and it's hard to want to give that up to save for later. You pay attention to Wendy and Jay Papazon, they're here in town. Um, they house hacked for a long time, and they have a lot of property off doing that.
Yeah.
So, I know they still make sure they manage their money correctly. Even Gary Keller, who owns the largest real estate company in the world privately, he still owns it 100%. Talks about in his podcast of, hey, you don't need all these nice things, and hey, you don't need this or that, or pay cash for your home. Make sure you don't have all these payments so you can go invest the difference.
Yeah.
But the really smart people you see, Warren Buffett drives a car somebody gave to him, and he lives in the same house he's lived in since the 70s. You need to make as much money as you can, save as much money as you can, and invest the difference. And it's really not more complicated than that. But people like to find all these reasons why they can't do it, and they wait and wait and wait and wait. And by the time they've waited, they could have made $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think it's tough kind of like in this market, is almost serving up like a good excuse for a lot of people because it is so hot right now. And obviously, who knows when that's going to change? I mean, by the time this is released, I mean, someone could listen to this 3 months later and maybe the downturn will start, but it's like nobody knows when it's going to shift. And I think like every deal that you told me about that you did makes sense in this high market. Like every single one that you did, living for $400, living for $500, making money to live at a place. Like it's hard to argue with that versus, I guess, what's the alternative? Because the alternative is what you rent, like you were renting an apartment for 1,200 or you own something, you're pretty much almost guaranteeing. I mean, you are guaranteeing you're gonna live more inexpensively by house hacking than you could live on your own. So it doesn't even really matter what the prices are because, at least now, even with the prices high, it's still cheaper to house hack and do all these other things.
And even with the prices high, as long as the numbers work, they work. Rents don't typically go down. I can't find anywhere ever that rents have gone down. I can't tell you any reason why, when the government's just printed $5 trillion, that rents are going to go down next year. Why is that going to happen? Everybody says, well, rents could drop. Why? Why would rents drop?
Yeah.
There's all this money. People have to live somewhere, especially places like Austin or Boston or wherever. If your area is declining in population rapidly, rents might go down. If you're in a Columbus or Cleveland, your rents may go down. But somewhere where population is growing and people are coming and need to live there, or even the population's steady, it's not going to change for a negative way. It's probably going to go up.
Yeah,
So,
it's interesting. Like my market, there's no land. You can't really develop much more. So, every market's different, like you mentioned. There's some markets that are losing population. There's some that's gaining them pretty fast. My market specifically, you can't really add much more inventory. So as long as people want to live in Boston, it'd be tough for rents to really go down. There's almost I'm trying to think of like even what the circumstances would be where rents could go down. I mean, the only thing with my market is just again cold weather, high cost of living, like population trends potentially. And where you're at, I guess there's a lot less. There's no zoning restrictions, right? Pretty much, you can.
no, We have zoning restrictions here in Austin. I know some places in Texas, they say they don't, but I know we do.
Yeah, so the zoning is a lot looser than what we have here,
Mhm.
but even still, like you guys have got the population trends in droves. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's interesting. So are you going to continue? Obviously, you're going to house hack where you're located,
Mhm.
and then are you going to continue to invest in the Kentucky market at the same time, or are you looking to get more of a base where you're located now?
So my partner and I are looking in San Antonio and Louisville. Um, we like both those markets quite a lot. We're just finding the deals in Louisville. Everything we have bought on the single family house side is off market. Everything I have bought multifamily side is on the market. I don't
Yep.
know why, but that's just the way it's worked out.
And what like you so you're buying singles in Louisville. Like what do the numbers look like there just out of curiosity?
So on the market, they're in the neighborhood we're looking in, they're roughly 1% rule. The
Yep.
stuff we're buying is in rougher shape, needs 20 to 30 grand worth of rehab. We're buying it at 70 cents on the dollar, putting in that 20, 30 grand worth of rehab. So we're ending up right around the 1% rule after rehab, but we've done a full rehab. Everything's nice. A lot of the capital expense is taken care of, and we've got a nice house to rent. So we're ending up all in around 100, and we're renting for around 1100.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you're doing those deals off market. Like how are you generating those opportunities?
Wholesalers and property managers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So just
Um,
straight networking.
yeah. Yeah. That's, I think, a hard part for a lot of people too. Everybody will say, oh, there's no deals out there, but
Yep.
they don't want to look for the deals. We're finding deals on the MLS that are just bad listings too. So here in Austin, this condo we have under contract, it's essentially a duplex, was listed as just a condo, although one in the complex was listed as a duplex. And that one went in 2 days and was gone over list. This one we were able to get for a good price. Um, this property we're in right now had two pictures, one of the front and one of the side of the front. So everything I found on the market is really usually a bad listing, and it's just an opportunity you're sifting through. It's not going to show up and knock on your front door and say, "Hey, here's this great deal, come buy me." It's just you got to do some work to find those deals.
Yeah, I had a real estate investing networking event maybe about a year ago. And I do all my deals off market. I do a bunch of mailings, Google pay per click, Facebook ads, like the typical traditional we buy houses stuff. And I was up there, speaking in front of like maybe like 30 people or so, all real estate agents. And I said, there's no deals on the market. And, I told them about kind of the stuff I'm doing and how I get deals. And I'm like, being on the MLS is a waste of time. But I had invited three or four other successful, agents who invest as well up there. And one of them kind of got into a debate with me. He said the same exact thing that you said. And I really got to kind of thinking about it. And I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah, it probably is really hard to find deals on the MLS, but me saying that they don't exist is not true. It's just probably way harder to get them.
Yeah,
And like you mentioned, he said the same thing. He said, "Well, what I do, and this is just an example." He said, "What I do is I know a specific area of town where the zoning allows for us to do extra in that area, and I look for people that are listing, say, like their single family homes in a neighborhood where you can add a unit." And he said that 99% of agents, when they list a home in that area, list it as a single family because they just don't know that
yeah,
you can do anything different. And he said, I did 4 or 5 deals last year where I basically bought a home. People probably thought I overpaid for it, but in reality, I actually got it for a discount just because the person who was listing it didn't realize that there was more potential there. So I feel like, I kind of put my foot in my mouth a little bit with saying the wrong thing, but I'm glad he corrected me. And, you're saying the same thing. And yeah, I mean, just because something goes on the MLS doesn't automatically necessarily mean that everybody else is going to see the potential there, or that, like you mentioned, it's literally listed wrong. It's listed as a condo, but there's another unit. So whatever the
yeah.
case is, there's always opportunities. And then the networking component, other wholesalers, property managers definitely come across the stuff all the time. That takes time, effort, and energy to build up those relationships. But yeah, definitely different alternatives to getting deals, rather than doing what I do, which is kind of just like spend money, getting appointment, and try to get a deal that way. So, well, that's awesome. I mean, you're definitely doing great things. I'm excited to see kind of, where you go with all this stuff. Reminded me of some of the stuff I did when I was younger, which is awesome. I love having people that are on that upswing. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing where you're at in like 3 or 4 years. So um, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come on.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thanks for having me so much. And I'd say, if anything, for agents, just think about your long term. There is no retirement plan as an
Yep.
agent. You got to figure out something to help you make money. Why not use something you know really well and have an advantage at? So if you're selling homes all day, so if you're listing and helping buyers get properties, you're going to see some opportunities that other people may not. And it's not just automatically you get an agent's license and you see those opportunities, but if you're an active agent who's busy and out there hustling, doing 30, 40 deals a year, you're going to see some opportunities. So take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I've got a book coming out called Agent Investor that like you just almost summarized the entire book, which is just like if you're an agent, if you're out there doing things, like you're going to come across these opportunities. And you don't have to be like you, Jordan, like you don't have to be like aggressively like pushing, but man, get one, get two, get three properties that you own for the future. You definitely don't have a retirement plan. And most agents that are successful, they just keep working and they never retire because they don't have a retirement plan. And I mean, it's tough. So I love what you're doing. For anybody who's listening who wants to reach out to you, is there any way? What's the best way for somebody to learn more about you or to get information?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and you can just email me at jordan.moorhead, Moorhead at kw.com. But yeah, Facebook or Instagram too, if you reach out over a messenger. I think Instagram Messenger is easier because it doesn't block it if you're not a friend or whatever.
Okay, I didn't know that little hack. I gotta work on that. I'm a Facebook pretty much only person, but now that you just told me that hack, I might step up to the plate on Instagram.
Well, I think on Facebook, don't you have two inboxes, like your friend's inbox and you have an accepted them inbox?
Exactly. So you just gave me an Instagram hack.
There you
So
go.
all the people who are ignoring me, I'm going to come for you now.
There, you got it, man. Go after them.
All right, Jordan, I appreciate you taking the time, and this will be launched in the next couple weeks.
All right. Thanks, Tom. You have a great day. Look forward to that book.
All right, guys.